Hello everyone. Okay, there we go. Hello everyone. I'd like you to meet the most wholesome person who has ever walked the earth. Bob Ross. Ross is an incredible painter that devoted his time to teaching others how to create artwork through a public television program that was produced from 1983 to 1994. The show, called The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross, filmed Mr. Ross giving painting instructions about color, technique, and healthy headspace as he painted hyper-realistic landscape scenes that could make any... The show's target audience, technically speaking, is every single person on the planet. Mr. Ross's language and instruction are respectable and clear while broadcasting on a public television network that was intended for anyone to tune into. Using public TV was an excellent testament to Hilary Jank's critical literacy education theory by providing access to anyone. This access to a dominant form of education works towards the shrinking of the marginalization of viewers. Mr. Ross used this technique of politeness and publicity to reach anyone who wanted to create with the intention of helping them realize that painting is the best kind of soup for the soul. Here's the thing. Painting is really fun, intuitive, and requires all of the person's attention for the creative process to truly bloom. Watching someone paint is a different story. They take hours to go through the process before eventually starting to apply paint. So watching someone do this for an extended amount of time can be boring. Mr. Ross knew this all too well and changed his process to fit within a 30-minute time frame, which is incredibly difficult to do. Several reasons, such as time constraints on how long he was given, and even the liquid white he used as a background blender. But he's able to do exactly what he intended to do every time for the sake of his audience. He does this by starting with a fresh canvas, explaining his initial idea of what he wants to paint that day, and describes to his audience what paint and colors he is using so they can follow along. Not only does he help calm people down with his soft voice and words, his technique teaches others to be more painterly with their work in order to think less about accuracy and more about intentional strokes. Painting in a painterly fashion directs the artist to think less about replication and more about creativity, to allow the artist to have fun with what they're making and bolster their decision-making process by dissolving the confining rules of perfectionism. In all of the painting that I've seen in other people, I have seen one common thing. They try to be too accurate with what they're making, and it takes away from their mental health when things don't look right and they become frustrated. That is the exact issue Mr. Ross is trying to oppose. And he does this in many ways. One way is his vernacular on telling the audience to just have fun with creating.
See, all these little things just sort of happen here. And maybe I'm using that oval brush again.
Ross can grab your attention with the words of kindness and thoughtfulness that a great educator would have. But I believe it is the results of his hard work that keeps audiences' attention by pulling them closer and closer throughout the episode to the end product that is always posed to astonish anyone. Mr. Ross often talked as he was painting about many different things in his life. Most of his topics were about the animals that he cared for, often showcasing hurt animals he found and brought back to health while giving updates on their status. But he gives credit where credit is due when nursing animals, as he understands what it means to credit someone for their work.
And I've taken care of him under the supervision of the bird lady. We have a lady here in Muncie who takes care of all the injured animals and stuff, and they call her the bird lady. And she keeps me straight and tells me how to take care of all these little creatures.
He also mentions that people call him to ask him about his animals and how his influence on their lives had a significant impact on positive change. Some episodes devoted to the audience in a way that they were able to call in questions to Mr. Ross and he would answer them. This devotion to the audience shows his authenticity towards instructing others by interacting with people who he only saw physically as a camera lens. In episodes, he describes what he was adding to his paintings as happy little things, like happy little trees and happy little bushes, or even happy little accidents, This is an attempt to help people's decision making in painting by saying that anything they add to their own work would happily be placed in that scene. In fact, it is a commonality in painting that whenever you create something you don't like, it can be covered up by something else, making the artist continue to work the paint until satisfied and driving off the desire to quit. As anyone can see in his paintings, Mr. Ross is a fantastic artist. His technique of beautiful articulation of the long sought-after alla prima of en plein air is a testament to his experience of painting and an eye for detail. Mr. Ross is so incredible at painting that it could lead others to think that if I can't paint like him, even as he instructs me to do so, then I can't be a painter. This sort of dissonance has the potential to drive people away from art entirely, even though painting nature scenes is but a fraction of what people can do in the art world. This is this fallacy in the audience by enunciating the fact that no one else can paint like anyone else. His experience with art, life, and family has all motivated him in different ways than other people's experience. These accidents that young painters make are happy because they are an attribution to the person's individuality by making them different from his own style. Those trees and bushes are happy to be in your painting because they were brought into existence by you, the artist. And now they have found a happy little place in your happy little painting. The thing that I find most off-putting, and possibly the only off-putting thing about Mr. Ross, is that he describes good art as being sold. When he says this, it implies that you become a good artist when something you create is sold for a decent price. Making art a commodity is detrimental to those who want to create. Creating art is something for everyone, no matter if the pieces they create are distributed or kept on a wall at home or even stored away for years. When a fiscal value is assigned to something, it automatically makes people think that only those who make a living off of it are the only ones who should partake in it. Creating art can be used as a hobby or even as therapy, not only ways to make a living through masterful skill. This directly ties to an Andy Warhol quote reading, "Don't think about art, just get it done. Let everyone else decide if it's good or bad, whether they love it or hate it. While they are deciding, make even more art." Creating art is something everyone can do, in all sorts of different levels or calibrations. The one thing that absolutely must persist is the artist creating more no matter what the pieces look like. Mr. Ross is an incredible influence on me, other artists, and pretty much anyone who hears his voice. His art will stand the test of time not only because of his imagery, but the virtual documentation of his show being distributed to all kinds of media outlets. He was a pioneer of teaching art through public television, and he was the best to ever do it. Thank you, and happy painting.